Hey everybody, this is Doug Aldrich from the Dead Daisies. Let's rock. Ken.
Aha, look at this. Look at that guitar. Woohoo!
Yeah, it's my little, the man cave, you know? Actually, no, it's not a man cave. Girls are allowed to.
But that's totally a man cave. Look at that thing. Wow, how you
Basically,
doing?
I'm doing good. How are you doing?
Good. I'm really good. I'm just sorry.
Yeah.
I'm gonna look at your guitars for a second here and just kind of drool a little bit.
No worries. This is just some of the stuff that this is a new guitar I got called a Scala, which is a copy of a 54 Les Paul. It's an amazing guitar. But I got a bunch of I got a 59 right here, 59 Junior. I'll show you.
Oh man, you're killing me.
This is my best playing. This thing plays incredible. It's just got a perfect neck. It's like a little chunky, but not too chunky. And I love the wrap tailpiece, the feel of that, because it's a little slinkier, you know. But the frets on this thing were it's just perfect. It's
that is a nice looking guitar.
Yeah, man. The old Leslie West or Gary Moore sounds. In fact, and Van Halen used to have one as well, but and then
back in the day,
gold top back there, a couple other things. But a lot of my guitars are in storage because I just don't have anywhere to put them all, you know.
Well, first world problems, right?
Well, I have, you know, there's two sides of it. I have definitely more guitars than I need, but it's so you know, you can't really play them all the time, you know, if you got 75 or 100 guitars, whatever. But in your brain, it's just an addiction. You see another guitar that you want. Well, we're on tour, and I'll go into a music store, and it's like I don't need anything, but still I'll fall in love with something, you know. And then you start thinking, how can I get the funds together to get that, you know?
It's a nice little hobby, though.
Yeah.
And if you have too many, I've got a place you can send a couple, you know.
I'm sure you do.
Hey, listen, man, welcome to Let's Rock.
Let's rock in Ottawa style, right? Canadian style.
Yes, and you know, the last time we spoke, you know, I could hardly hear you because of all the hookers and blow that was going on at the time.
Oh.
Remember that show?
Yeah.
With hookers and blow back in, I don't know when that was, maybe 2018.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, because those guys were with us, and it was a fun tour. Yeah, really cool.
Yeah, man, that was a great night of music. Great night of music. Now, since then, a lot has changed.
Yes.
In both the world and your band.
Yeah, we jumped a year for one. It was just like unbelievable. Feels like 2020 musically didn't exist almost, but it did. But we made a change in lineup in the summer of 19, and we started writing together. We had written separately a little bit before Glen got, you know, before we got together, and then we did 4 songs at LA Sunset Sound in LA, and where they did the first Van Halen album and a bunch of, you know, hundreds of other albums, great albums. And we were really happy with the result, and Glenn joined the band, and then we got busy preparing for the album. So we had it all pretty much wrapped up before the pandemic stuff, and then we had to put the brakes on.
Big time. Yeah. And I know I said this exact same thing to Lawrence Gowan of Styx the other day, but I'm a little late to the party, but great album, Holy Ground. Fantastic stuff, man. I love it.
We enjoyed it. Thank you. We really had a good time making it, and Ben Gross did a great job. And you know, having Glen on lead vocals and bass was a really fresh perspective. It's really, you know, the theme that's always gone through the Dead Daisies is you know, David's kind of his technique in playing guitar is very honest and simple and aggressive. He's like almost got a punk rock feel the way he plays, and that's the thread that goes through the Dead Daisies. But when he started the band, he meant for it to have lineup changes. He wanted it to be like you know, like a roundabout, similar to what Deep Purple was like. You know, in the beginning, they've now fallen into a lineup that's steady. But at first, there was Glen came in at Mark 3 and 4. It was him and David, and Tommy Bolin came in on Mark 4. But yeah, so it's kind of like that, changes.
That must be hard to get a chemistry going, though, right? If you're changing members all the time.
Well, I mean, it is a lot of changes, except that we would work really hard in between, and we would. When I joined the band, it was 2016, and I had already played it with Brian Tichy and Marco in Whitesnake, and I knew John Crosby since we were in high school, actually. So it was pretty easy for me to get to gel with that thing pretty quickly. And then Dean Castronova came in. That was, you know, I knew Dino from other things. That was cool. And then Marco and John left in 2008, the end of 18 or beginning of 19, and getting Glen to come in and something cool. But we had to find a way to gel. And the best way to do that was hole up just ourselves, live together and record and write together. And it happened to be a studio in the south of France that we got, that we found through a German friend of ours. And man, this place was perfect for that, because we were together all the time. And I knew Glen already, but Glen had to get comfortable within the band. So we were holed up in this studio they'd cook for us every day, and then we just go record and write and stuff. It was perfect.
That's right. You toured with him. When was that? Like 2015 or something?
Yeah,
you toured
2015. I basically had been doing this gig in Vegas after getting out, you know, leaving Whitesnake, and I would just realize that, man, I wasn't comfortable, you know, staying home as much as I thought I would be. It was like, and Glen called me and said, "Hey, you want to do this tour with me?" And I was like, yeah, let's go. So we had a blast. It was just a trio, so it was really a fun jam with him every night. And then, but yeah, so he found his legs really quick in this band, and he feels, I think he, you know, feels that it was a good match, because we could utilize his talents and strengths, and also, you know, maintain the band as well.
I imagine with a guy like him, it's not hard to find chemistry.
You know, I mean, Glen, he can make it happen. He can turn it on, you know, just like that. But he wants to be comfortable, you know, and sometimes you're put in a position where you got to show up and do something, and you can do it because you're professional, but maybe you go, wasn't as gratifying as you know. But once you live together and you get to know people, and you get the you know, the humorous sides of everybody that comes out, it just starts to become comfortable, you know.
Right.
And it's very important, because when you're in a band together, even though sometimes it's people are separated by the way they travel or whatever, in this situation, it's really like a band. It's like a family. We're always together, traveling together, doing everything together. Even now on the road, like, I never really did this before, but we'll go and plan breakfast or dinner together, because, well, we wanted to be in a bubble during the, you know, the times right now, but B, it's fun to, you know, to be with your bros, you know.
It's kind of rare, I think, in rock bands, isn't it, that everyone actually gets along?
I think some bands, I think it's 50-50, you know.
Is it?
Some bands do, and you can tell when they do. and other bands, maybe you can tell that you know, they're very different personalities and maybe wouldn't have much in common off the stage. But like the things that for Glenn, one of the big things in his life is English football. He loves it, and I recently in the past say, I mean, I've learned about soccer. I played soccer when I was a kid, but I didn't really know that much about it. And little by little, when I was in Whitesnake, I started to get into soccer and stuff, and then with the Dead Daisies, Glen's now in, and so we always have that in common to talk about what's happening with his team, or just in general, like, you know, techniques to the game, stuff like that. It's interesting, you know, outside of music, we have that.
That's very cool. That's very cool. Now I have one question about this dude. He's what, 70 now, pushing 70?
He is 70. Yeah, he just turned 70.
And he sounds like a teenager still.
I know, it's incredible.
Like, does he have a secret? Like, what's going on with this guy?
He doesn't really have a secret. I mean, he works hard. He works very hard, and he talks about his breathing is very important, that he keep his breathing intact, and he talks about that he drink a lot of water, but he's pretty, like, I don't want to say he's bulletproof. I mean, but he's very he just, I don't know why, because most people their muscles in their throat change over time, so it's inevitable that their tone's going to change, especially the higher register. But we do spend a lot of time doing warm-ups, proper warm-ups with him, so that he's really comfortable, and he's got, you know, sometimes we'll play the same song like 2 or 3 times, because he's like, it's almost there, guys, you know, let's just do it one more time, and that really is helpful, I think, because you don't, you know, you can warm up by yourself, your vocals, but it's more fun when you do it with everybody hanging around, or singing together and playing together on the bus or backstage or wherever we need to. But that helps. But he is just a freak of nature. There's that too.
Well, I was trying to get to that, but I didn't want to be
sorry,
be rude.
No, sorry, Ken. I sometimes do these long, you know, you can cut me off anytime. I won't hold it against you.
No, man, I would much rather listen to you talk than me talk. Absolutely. Now, you are on tour again. It must be kind of weird to be out there. How are the shows going with the whole lockdown or getting out of the lockdown?
It was strange. And we started in June, 9 shows in June, and over a period of about 3 weeks. So it was weird having so much time off. We, you know, because certain venues, they only would be open on weekends or whatever. So we'd usually do a Thursday, Friday, Saturday or something like that. But the first show was just like, I don't even excuse me, I don't remember much about it. It was just like a blur. Like when I was a kid, you know, the whole day would be gone before you knew it. The buildup was what you remembered, but the show itself, it just flew by. And then, you know, we noticed at that time that it was like everything was pretty, in the US, and that time everything was pretty open. Like we were playing in Florida and some other places, and there was not a mask to be seen, you know. So then the Delta variant kicked up, and then it started to be where, you know, we had to be more careful, and there was definitely more isolation, you know, in the bubble and stuff. But the shows got better and better and better, and we're right now super primed. Like we've done all the road work in terms of preparing for the tour, and the last leg of which was in the US, the Like No Other tour. We were supposed to go to Canada, but we couldn't yet.
No one's coming here yet.
We will, but it went great. Everybody's in good shape. Health was good, knock on wood. And we worked out a really cool set. We've got new production. Can't wait to share it with you guys.
Yeah, I hardly wait to see it. I mean, geez, I haven't seen a concert since November 19.
Yeah. I know it's been I know that, you know, in Canada it's been a bit more harder, but maybe it's, you know, that's for the good. Who knows, man? Maybe it's for the good, maybe not. But In the US, I started to see some bands trickling out little by little. And the first show I saw was the Black Crowes.
Nice.
The year 2 years earlier was the last show I saw was the Stones. So I was happy to see them. But yeah, then playing and going to shows, it feels so good. We really can't wait to get back to Canada.
Judging from when you were here in Ottawa, you're a band that's really close to the audience. You like to be in their faces. I remember Marco walked through the crowd a few times, and you were meeting people, you were shaking hands. It's gone.
Yeah, we can't do that at this point, but it'll come back at some point. We just have to we've been trying to be more creative with social media and put more time into, we'll do Facebook Live meet and greets and stuff like that periodically. But yeah, unfortunately, everyone needs to, the last thing we want is for anybody to get sick, either on our entourage or anybody at the show or something. So we have to be really, it's different,
It's nice you brought up.
Those times with Marco, that was like insane, man. He'd go out there, and then we'd meet fans before the show and after the show, and it was great. But
he was all over the place.
We'll get back to it. Eventually, I feel very confident that we will be able to do that little by little. It's not ready yet, but just happy to be playing at this point.
Oh, I can imagine. You must have gone crazy for a year and a half without a gig.
Yeah, I mean, 2020 just kind of flew by. I was at home with my kids and family, and I was actually renovating our house. And so we had rented a house 2 doors down, actually, and then I was the contractor on the job. So I had a main guy that was there, but basically I was busy in my mind, trying to keep on budget and get the house done and stuff. So that got me through. And Glen and I did some writing. Glen was the only person I saw during lockdown. He was the one person I did see. We did a couple things, wrote some stuff. We'd hang out a little here and there, unless it was really hot, like meaning if COVID was really bad, before the vaccine, it was so dangerous. I didn't want to get Glen sick, of course, and I didn't want to catch it either.
Right. It's nice you mentioned social media. That was one of my questions for you. You guys are all over social media. Every time I go to Instagram or Facebook, it's just Dead Daisies, Dead Daisies, Dead Daisies, and it's awesome to watch. You got the jams from the bus, you've got the live footage, you've got introducing the venues. It's fantastic. How important is it to have that presence on social media these days?
Well, the upside is, it's fun for people if they want to see that, then they can. So, then there's the other side of it where you don't. There's not as much mystique, say, but I think all in all, people in this time really like to be able to have the option to see what's going on behind the scenes, and it's been the general consensus of the band and the management that it's a good opportunity to build a fan and keep, once you have those fans and they become friends through social media, then you just maintain that relationship. So I think it's important.
I did an interview on Monday with Gil Moore from Triumph.
Yeah, I love him.
Yeah, he's awesome, right? And one of the things I mentioned to him was that it's so strange preparing for an interview with him because he was never on social media. His band was started and finished before social media started. So no one knew anything about these guys. Nothing.
That's right. It was just that's the mystery element that's kind of magical. We had I guess more patience back in the 70s and 80s, 90s, where you didn't feel like you had to have the information, but now you really want the information like as soon as possible. There's, for me, it's like the news or something, it's like it'll pop up on my phone without me even asking about it, so I'll see it. And normally I wouldn't know about what the news was happening unless I decided to turn on the TV or something.
You miss those old days of, posting up flyers on the street posts and getting people to go to your gigs that way? Or is it?
It was a great time. It was a really, I first moved to Los Angeles in 1981. I was just a kid, and immediately my whole agenda was, get in the band and try to get a record contract. It probably took me a week to find a band, a group of guys, and we started writing and playing covers and playing gigs, and just gone from there. I'm still doing the same thing. It's like, it's kind of amazing. But yeah, it was a simple time back then. And also, I only had a few items in my possession. It wasn't like at this point now, you've got responsibilities in life, and you got a family you got to take care of, and pets and all this stuff. So it was a cool time at that point. And going out and doing flyers was, I didn't do it as much as I should have. I was teaching guitar back then, so I was usually working late. But you'd have like a group of core friends or fans that would do it for you. And so nowadays that's gone. You're absolutely right. The telephone poles in Los Angeles are clean. It used to be.
That must have been so cool. I mean, we had that up here as well, but we didn't have the bands that you had. I mean, back then it would have been Motley Crue and all those bands that were just getting going, right?
Yeah. It was the first band that I saw get started was Motley Crue. That was around 82, 83. And then Rat was going. I remember seeing Rat play with Jakey Lee on guitar, and no other guitar players, just him.
Oh, I heard about that. Yeah.
And then they got Robin Crosby, and he was a really nice guy. He was always super kind. He'd always say hey and everything. I lost touch with him once they got big, but that was probably because I didn't have a phone, because it got disconnected.
But
yeah, man.
Stories about moving out to LA, poor as all get out, nothing but the clothes on your back. That's true. That was actually the way it was.
That's the way it was. I mean, I didn't know about checking account and paying bills, and I'm surprised my parents let me go like that. But I was meant to go to college in Los Angeles, and it just wasn't for me. I stepped in, and literally I was there for 5 minutes. I stepped in, I looked around, and I said, no. And my parents said, okay, we're not going to support you. This is not cool if you're not going to college. So I got a job, and temporary job, where I was cleaning up a guy's workshop. And then I got a job in a music store, which was another waking up thing, because I thought you just hang out in the music store and play guitar all day, and collect. If somebody comes in, you could show them it and then get the money, and that's it. But it's like sales techniques. This is sales we're talking about now. And I was like, what? I eventually realized that that wasn't the job for me. And it all kind of tied into a certain period of time when I realized that I wanted to get better. And I had some kids that wanted to take private lessons from me, and that transitioned into getting a job teaching. And I was also taking lessons. And I got better and more focused. But the teaching thing at that time, everybody wanted to be a guitar player. So it was really cool, man. I was teaching in this place that was in between 3 high schools. So everybody wanted to play guitar like Eddie Van Halen or Angus Young or whatever.
Yeah, that was the Eddie Van Halen effect, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah, he had that power for sure.
Absolutely. When did you first see Eddie play?
My first Eddie concert was, the first time I heard Eddie play was in my brother's bedroom. He was listening to Ice Cream Man, and it got to the solo, and I had trouble picking my jaw up off the floor. About a week after that, I bought my first guitar, And then, but the first time I saw him was 5150 tour in Montreal.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I've never seen Van Halen with Dave.
It was pretty incredible, man. But it was incredible with Sammy too. And Montreal, what did you say about Bell Center?
At that time, it would have been the Montreal Forum, the old Forum.
Oh, okay. Um, Man, that's a great crowd though, either way. That's a rock and roll town right there. But
Absolutely.
but yeah, I saw him in '79 was the first time when I was 15 or 14, something like that. And man, I didn't even know who we were playing. I just knew it was Van Halen. What is this we're going to see? You know, I just had the ticket. I bought the ticket for like $8 and general admission floor. And I'm like, who are we going to see? You know, the guy goes Van Halen. I'm like, what? I never heard these guys. Is it good? And he's like, yeah, they're really good. They're on the radio. You know, I hadn't heard it. We ran up to the front and the curtain opened and I saw the Marshall stacks or 4x12 cabinets, 18 of them. And I was just like, oh my God. And Eddie just did one of these little, you know, little like moose calls. And I was just like, oh my God, that's insane. And he just it blew me away so bad. I never thought I'd see a performance like that again until I saw Randy Rhoads play.
Oh, you saw Randy?
Yeah. I saw the day of the show, we went and bought tickets to Ozzy. He was playing a theater in Philadelphia. That was where had my formative concert years was in Philadelphia. And they were playing a theater and we went the day of the show, like literally the show started at 8. We got there at like 7 and somehow we scored 4th row seats. I don't know how. Right in front of Randy, like it was meant to be. And when it got done, I just thought, oh my God, there's this guy. I can even relate more to this guy. His playing is a little bit, it's got this little classical. It was just eye-opening experience to you know, wanting to be able to do those things on guitar at some point. I wasn't close yet. And I can't play like either of those guys, but man, that was incredible. And then when I moved to LA, the funny story, Ken, is my phone hadn't got cut off yet. And I met this kid and his name was Eddie. And he goes, hey, he called me before my phone got cut off and goes, hey, do you want to go see Randy? Randy's going to be sitting in with this band called DeBro. It's his old lead singer. I go, who, what Rand? Who are you talking about? He goes, you know, Randy Rhoads from Ozzy Osbourne's band. I go, you mean the English guy, Randy Rhoads? He goes, he's not English. He's from Burbank. I used to take lessons from him. I was like, what? Holy. So we went to the whiskey. We got in somehow. I think I had a fake ID maybe to make me 19 or I forget. But we got in and we went up the stairs in the whiskey. I don't know if you've ever been there. But
I've been outside, never inside.
You go up the stairs to go to the second level and then you go to this door and knock on the door and there's another stairs that goes up to the backstage area and we knock on the door and the guy goes, what are you kids doing here? What do you want? And at the top of the stairs, there's Randy Rhoads. He goes, hey, let those kids in. That's my buddy, Eddie, come on. And I was just like, oh my God, there he is. I mean, I had never met a rock star. It was like, what the hell? And he was really a really cool, kind person. Of course, I said all this typical stuff like, man, you're amazing. And,
yeah.
You know, but I didn't ask him for a guitar pick, which I wished I had. And then a week later, Eddie called me back and goes, hey, Randy's playing again. Do you want to go? I was like, are you kidding? Yeah. I walk in the whiskey and he goes, hey, Doug, how you doing? I was like, hey, Randy, and nice to see you. And he's like, yeah, man. I was like, how? This guy, it blew me away that he remembered my name because that's uncanny, you know, so anyways.
Those kind of stories are amazing. I mean, those are life-changing moments for musicians, right? And, you know, I still feel that way every time I meet somebody. Like when we met you guys in Ottawa, we did an interview backstage while Hookers and Blow was playing.
That's right. Yep.
And those moments mean so much to any rock fan. It doesn't matter. Like even the smallest band that comes to Ottawa, you know, they leave that impression with you. And I think it's great. I met Eddie once, and it was probably the only time in my life I had spaghetti legs, and I didn't know what to say. I had no idea what to say to this guy,
Yeah.
and I felt like a fool. But hopefully, he passed on some of his mojo to me, because that
Yeah, man.
unbelievable experience.
Yeah, he you know what blows me away is that now thinking back on it, it never occurred to me that if you hung out after the show, you might be able to see these guys walk, or that they might be staying at a hotel the day before and having a day off in your town. Like it never even occurred to me. I was just kind of so what do you call it? You know, like adolescent mind where I just, it never occurred to me. I just felt like, okay, they drive, they set up like right before the show and then they leave right after the show. I didn't think about like the ins and out of touring and what, you know, I'd seen Van Halen 3 or 4 times before I moved away from home, and all with Dave, and they had to have a day off in Philadelphia one of those times. So they were hanging out. I could have gone and got a pizza and seen Eddie, you know. I never thought about that.
Did you ever meet him?
Yeah, a few times. In fact, I had a band that opened for Van Halen in Paris at this, like, it was called La Zenith. It was surreal because we were trying to do a sound check and I had this really loud hum in my guitar, and Eddie's tech came and said, hey, you know, I just talked to Eddie and he said if you want to use his power, it's okay, because we got, you know, they had clean power things. And I was like, wow, that's cool, man. And then got done with sound check and went up this little curly staircase up to our dressing room. And then all of a sudden we're sitting there and Eddie walks up. He's got a cane. His hip was messed up, but he took the time to walk up the stairs. It was difficult. And with a cane, it would be like really difficult. And he goes, hey man, I just heard you guys were from California. I thought you were a French band. What's going on? You know, and like, let's get a beer, you know? And he was really, really cool. At another point, I met him. I was working on a project with Andy Johns, and Andy Johns had just finished recording that for Unlawful Cardinal Knowledge album. And he says, well, Doug, this stuff that you got here is good, but I need to borrow some gear from Eddie's studio because I need louder speakers or whatever. And I said, you think it's okay? And he goes, yeah, they'll let me borrow whatever I want. So we went up to Eddie's studio and Andy was inside talking to the manager, the studio manager, about what he wanted to borrow. And all of a sudden Eddie pulls up and he's in a Range Rover with, it had a car seat in the front of the Range Rover. It's not legal now, but it was in the front of the car seat, was sticking out. On top of the car seat was a 12 pack of beer that was ripped open. I was just like, rock and roll. He has to drive from his house up to the studio, either by golf cart or a car. And he drove up and he goes, hey, who are you? I go, my name is Doug. I'm here with Andy. He goes, oh, Andy's here. Cool, man. Come on. He's just really nice, super, super cool. And then the only other time we were mixing that record and I was doing a Ebo slide solo thing for this part. And I'm right there and I see these legs stand right in front of me. And I look up and I'm like, oh man, how you doing, Eddie? And he just come in to say hi to Andy. It was very cool.
Holy. Yeah, he was, well, he's the reason I play guitar for sure. And I'm sure
it's not everybody that's got a Frankenstein acoustic on their wall.
Yeah, me and my buddy painted that as a tribute once. I guess it was just before he died, but I've got Van Halen all over my place. In fact, my daughters call him Uncle Eddie.
That's cool.
Like they don't listen to him, but they know that he's Uncle Eddie in this house. And
my daughter, she's 5 years old. She loves Van Halen. I'm so happy about it.
The only song my daughters like is Big Bad Bill.
Oh, really?
I don't know why, but that's the only song they will listen to.
My son used to like jump. That was his favorite of Van Halen, but that was, that's a no-brainer.
They're all good, man. They're all good. And thanks for those stories, by the way. That's amazing. So what are the plans for Dead Daisies in the near future?
We have, I don't know when this is going to air, but we're going to leave for the UK on Wednesday, the 27th, and we land on the 28th. Then we've got 8 shows in the UK, which will be incredible. You know, we haven't been out of the country. You know, nobody has. So that's going to be fantastic. Then we have some time off for the holidays. We're going to write a little bit. Like I said, Glen and I had already done a bit, and then February, beginning of February, we start in Germany. We've got to make up a bunch of dates that were canceled not canceled, but they were postponed from 2020 till 22. So we start in February in Germany. We'll probably go through festival season, and then we'll at some point make a new record.
Good. That's what I was hoping to hear. Perfect. You're the man. Thanks so much for this. And hopefully see you up in Ottawa when everything gets cool.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. Have a good holiday.
You too. Take it easy.
All right, bro. Thank you.
Sure. Thanks.